This is Inside the FLX from FingerLakes1.com live. I'm Ted Baker. Joining us each month from the Montezuma Audubon Center, Route 89 in Savannah, is Chris Lajewski. Welcome back.
Good morning, Ted.
So the avian flu, it's become a concern, I know, for people raising chickens as near as Pennsylvania. Is it in New York yet? And for those of us who are bird feeders, what should we be doing, if anything?
The New York State DEC has identified the highly pathogenic avian influenza here in New York State. It seems to be not only impacting the domestic flocks of chickens, ducks, and even pheasants, but it has gotten into the wild bird population. According to the DEC website, information suggests that it is impacting and causing mortality in waterfowl, ducks, geese, and swans, and even on occasion birds of prey, owls and hawks. And so that is a concern. As of right now, according to the US CDC website, there is no active avian flu in wild flocks here in the Finger Lakes region. Now that can change over the course of a week or so, but as of right now, it's not in wild birds. And so if that were to change, though, from Audubon's perspective, we would encourage people to remove bird feeders just to reduce the chances of transmission from, say, wild flocks in one area through songbirds to wild birds of prey or waterfowl in another flock. So it's also an opportunity right now for people to take down bird feeders and clean them thoroughly after the winter months. There is so much natural food for birds right now. It's really not necessary to do the feeding like we were probably during the winter months. So we would recommend a soapy solution and or a 10% bleach solution to thoroughly clean the bird feeders and reduce the chances of spread of a virus.
Should we rake up the hulls that gather at the bottom of our feeders on the ground, or are those okay? I know there are some ground feeders that will come in and take a look at those.
Certainly, there are ground feeders, dark-eyed juncos, red-winged blackbirds, common grackles, even blue jays will even be down there picking off the seed. That is another way that birds will congregate, which could cause a spread of a virus. So again, out of an abundance of caution, it wouldn't be a bad idea, since we do have this avian influenza in New York State. It seems to be right now, at least as of just yesterday when I checked the CDC website, it seems to be in the domestic poultry flocks across New York State, which makes sense because the large waterfowl migration has taken place. And the birds are now way up into Canada or the Arctic tundra where they're going to be breeding. So I would expect that we'll be seeing less and less in wild flocks as we go through the spring season.
And if you go back, I'm thinking maybe a couple of months on FingerLakes1.com, we did a podcast with Cooperative Extension where they talked about what you can do if you raise chickens or other commercial fowl, whether it's as a hobbyist or as a business. The other thing is we talked last year about this mystery illness that caused the clouding over of the eyes. Do we know anything more about what that might have been, and is there going to be a second round of that coming? Do we know?
Well, viruses mutate, as we well know, with COVID-19, and that's the avian flu virus is no exception. Some years the avian flu doesn't drastically impact the poultry flocks, the backyard flocks of chickens and ducks that people may have. This current strain is impacting both the wild flocks as well as domestic flocks. So viruses can mutate, it can impact significantly one year, and it can wane and subside another year. So we're not sure what's going to come down the pike here for the future, but we do know that this active avian flu is here in New York, and we do recommend that people take precaution if it gets into the wild flock in their county. Again, we do have a link on our Facebook page, Audubon New York Facebook page. People can link to not only the US CDC website for the map of counties here in New York, but they can also go to the New York State DEC website for additional information.
One other feeder question. I saw an article just the other day about, of course, bears like bird seed as much as birds do. Should people in sort of rural bear-prone areas just take their feeders down at a certain point every spring?
At this time of year, again, with the food that is available to birds, insects, seeds, berries are going to be coming later on in the spring and certainly through the summer months. There is ample food for birds right now, and if black bears are a concern in a neighborhood or in rural areas, then yes, it wouldn't be a bad idea to remove black oil sunflower seed feeders and thistle seed feeders at this point.
The Montezuma Audubon Center runs largely on volunteer help and largely on donations from the public. And one of the ways you can help is the annual benefit event. It's a golf tournament, but it's a lot more than that. Monday, June 13th, this has become a real big gala event.
That's right, and we'll be back at the Wayne Hills Country Club in Lyons this year for our 4th golf tournament there. A beautiful golf course, mature forests within and around the golf course, just spectacular area. And all the proceeds raised on June 13th will support bird conservation efforts at Montezuma, at our Onondaga Lake project, and other important bird areas across the Finger Lakes region. It's a spectacular day of golf, lunch, and we'll have dinner. We'll have a silent auction going on, raffles, prizes as well. There's also a virtual silent auction component. Now, this is something that we started a couple years ago during COVID, and we've just had so much success with it. We're bringing it back again. It's going to be a 2-week virtual silent auction. So from June 1st through June 14th, there are going to be so many different items available. People can bid on everything from birding tours to amazing nature photographs. We're going to have wine baskets and gift certificates to many of our destinations across the Finger Lakes region, overnight stays, restaurants as well. People don't have to get involved in the actual day of annual benefit to participate in this virtual silent auction. All this information and ways to support and register for this annual benefit are on our website, montezuma.audubon.org.
And of course, it's interesting that a part of the event is a golf tournament because there are a few better places to watch birds than on a golf course.
And the Wayne Hills Country Club, with the mature trees, there are going to be swallows, thrushes, warblers, vireos, as well as our native year-round resident birds as well. So just a spectacular golf course, a great way to spend the day and support bird conservation.
You mentioned Onondaga Lake, the other half of your job that we talk about, and you just had an Earth Day. Was it a cleanup event?
Yes, it was. Very successful event. We had about 20 volunteers help us with a cleanup effort along the southwest shoreline of Onondaga Lake. That section of the lake gets the brunt of debris, plastics, and other things that wash through Onondaga Lake and really the entire Erie Canal system because of the westerly winds that blow across the lake, and it just gets piled up on the southwest shoreline there. Great event. We removed dozens and dozens of pounds of debris out of the lake and from the nearby shoreline. And all this is helping to improve the quality of habitat for birds and other wildlife. We were enjoying the bald eagles and osprey soaring right over us.
Yeah.
There were waterfowl on the lake, swallows diving down, grabbing insects that were emerging from the lake. So it's just a great day, and great to see the community come out and help us improve the quality of that habitat for all those birds that we saw and many others.
So let's talk about some of those volunteer opportunities at Montezuma. One that we've talked about many times is removing invasive species, but there's a lot of different ways people can help.
On Saturday, May 7th, we're partnering with New York State Parks and getting involved in the I Love My Park Day. This is going to be the very first time that we've joined up with parks, and really they've expanded this program now. It's not just New York State Parks, it's any state or federal or public land within the state of New York, and people are encouraged to get out and help those organizations clean up their areas. We've got a couple of big activities planned for that day. We're going to be improving our native flower gardens in and around the center, removing some of the downed brush from last year and getting ready for some plantings coming up this year. We also have a project in our forest. So an ongoing bush honeysuckle removal project that has been ongoing for about 15 years now. And so we're going to have something for everybody, from the young to the young in heart, can help us improve the quality of the habitat and our appearance to the public as well. That's, again, coming up Saturday, May 7th, and folks can go to our website to register for that.
For people who might have, for example, wetlands on their own property, is there some place you can go to see what the invasive species are, and should you remove those on your own from your property if you have some, like water chestnuts?
Oh, for sure. Water chestnut is one that we battle at the Montezuma Wetlands Complex every year. That'll be coming up in July, August, and early September. When, right now, you don't see it emerging from the depths of wetlands or waterways. A great resource that Audubon has is the Plants for Birds website. Just search for Plants for Birds, and that'll be the first URL that pops up, and people can type in their zip code and find the native vegetation that will work very well in their landscaping or in their wetland or forested habitat. Everything from wildflowers to native shrubs to native trees. And all of these species will benefit our birds that are going to be breeding here over the coming months, but also it's going to help keep the invasive species out. If you leave a ground bare, that is a ripe situation for invasive species to start to grow in, either from seed or from sprouting of roots. And so native vegetation is key to keep invasive species out, and you must also remove invasive plant species if you find them.
Let's get a bird migration update. We just had 2 82-degree or so days over the weekend, and we've talked about the various factors. Part of it is the time of year and the angle of the sun, but obviously warm weather sort of triggers that as well. So, for example, the warbler migration typically in our area is somewhere around mid-May or so. Is that still probably going to be the case, or does that get sped up now?
Well, that'll be the peak of the warbler migration. The vireos, the warblers, thrushes, flycatchers will be peaking at that point. However, because of that warmth we had over the weekend, we are starting to see the first warblers, vireos, and thrushes and flycatchers moving into this Finger Lakes region. I found my first yellow warbler and wood thrush the other day right around here in Seneca Falls. My colleagues down in the Ithaca area have informed me that they've had the black-throated blue and black-throated green warbler already down there. So yes, spring migration and the songbirds are really starting to take hold here and starting to work their way back into the area. They've had an incredible journey just to get here to the Finger Lakes region. Many of these birds were down in Central and South America for the winter months. And being only 4 or 5 inches or so long, if you and I had to go that same equivalent distance, we'd have to go around the planet twice. It's just an amazing feat. And so they're here now, and many are going to be staying here and breeding. Others may just be stopping here, refueling, hopefully enjoying our native vegetation that we have out there in the landscape for them, and then going up into central Canada, the boreal forest of Canada, where they will breed.
And one of the things that's nice about the warbler migration is it takes place before the trees are all fully leafed in, so the birds are a little easier to see than if it were midsummer.
That's right. And so birding, by ear is also a fun activity to do right now because they are very vocal. They're singing their breeding songs. They're trying to attract a mate. They're also trying to keep other birds of the same species from their territory. And just a great time to be out. We just barely have some buds coming out on leaves now, so birds are visually apparent. They're in their breeding plumage, but they're also very vocal right now.
So you mentioned the wood thrush a moment ago. That's our species spotlight for this month, so tell us a little bit more about the wood thrush.
Wood thrush was down again in Central America during the winter months. it's related to a couple of our more common thrush species that we have here pretty much year-round in the Finger Lakes region, American robin and eastern bluebird. And like those two species, the wood thrush has a lot of orange-brown color on it. So from the top of the head all the way down the back of the neck and down the back and the wings and down to the tail, it's more of a orangey, rusty brown color. Now on the chest, I think of it as vanilla ice cream with some chocolate chips speckled in.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
It's a speckled
Yeah.
patchwork on the chest. And just now the one thing that clued me in on the wood thrush I found the other day is the melodious flute-like call that I
okay.
heard from the forest where I was walking my dog the other day. It just sounds like somebody is in the forest, they're playing a flute. It's just spectacular, unique call. And that is a species, the wood thrush, that is in decline. We have lost about 60% of the wood thrush since the 1970s. A couple reasons for that, but mainly it's habitat loss. And so we're working with our international partners down in Central America to reforest areas down there. But also we have an obligation and an opportunity to reforest and plant native vegetation here in the Finger Lakes region. And if folks are interested in learning more about those opportunities and what they can do to benefit the wood thrush, we encourage them to call us at Montezuma Audubon Center, send us an email. We've got a Healthy Forest initiative and staff at Audubon that work just with forest landowners, helping them manage their land for the wood thrush and many others.
You mentioned they're related to the robin. I always thought that at first glance they look a little bit like a juvenile robin with that spotted plumage on the front.
That's right. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So they're just coming in, and the number of wood thrush and other songbirds are going to be increasing as we go throughout the rest of this month and well into May.
Birding tours continue. The next one is on April 28th at 5:30. What are we looking for?
Well, now that the songbird migration is underway, we're going to be keying in on some forested habitats, listening for these early warblers, vireos, thrushes, flycatchers. We're also going to be looking at marsh habitats because shorebirds are starting to pop in here. These are the sandpipers and plovers and other species of shorebirds that are probably just going to be stopping here, refueling, resting, and then going up a little bit further north where they're going to breed. Some go up as far north as the Arctic tundra to breed. The waterfowl migration is largely complete. That was back in March, and now that we're into late April and through early May, we're going to transition to the smaller birds migrating through, and the tour coming up here on Thursday is a great opportunity to see some of these areas off the beaten trail, some areas within the Montezuma National Wildlife Refuge that people may not know of, as well as some state land up in Savannah. So we'll make 3 or 4 stops, as we usually do. Folks will have a Zoom conference call number. They're going to dial in and hear our educator narrate the tour, and our guests can ask questions in between the 3 or 4 stops that we'll make. Online reservations are required, as always, and folks can go to montezuma.audubon.org for those reservation links.
This is on Thursday, April 28th, then 2 days later, Saturday the 30th. This is great. Birding by ear, because this is where I'm terrible. And as a bird watcher, I need to improve tremendously. A couple of years ago, you and I went on a kayak paddle along the Clyde River, and there'd be a little tweet somewhere, and you'd say, oh, up in the tree, there's a so-and-so. And I love to be able to do that. So how do we learn to be better ear birders?
Yeah, well, this coming Saturday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., we're offering this Birding by Ear workshop. One of our environmental educators, Alyssa Johnson, is an incredible birder, and she's going to be highlighting some of the techniques that new birders, as well as maybe some experienced birders who just need to brush up on their skills a little bit, since many of these birds haven't been seen or heard of since last spring. So it's something for everybody. The whole family is invited to this event. And we're going to be providing some techniques in an indoor workshop setting. Then, after the indoor component, we're going to go for a short walk at Montezuma Audubon Center and put these new skills to the test. And I would expect this weekend, with some milder conditions coming in towards the end of this week, we're going to have another big push of songbirds migrating through. We've got a diversity of forests at the Audubon Center to explore, everything from grasslands to forests, as well as marsh habitats. Every time I go out, I find at least 30 species of birds within a half-hour walk. So great opportunity for the whole family to come out and learn how to bird by ear.
That'll be this Saturday. It's from 2 to 4 p.m. And then another of your partnerships, Wildflowers, Wine, and Warblers at Hunt Country Vineyard. Is this a new partnership?
This is. They're down in Branchport,
down
on Keuka Lake. Spectacular folks down there. Couldn't be prouder of this new partnership that we've developed here. They've got not only a wonderful vineyard to explore, but also nearby expansive forest habitat. And within the forest, there are an abundant number of wildflowers that are going to be blooming. Everything from bloodroot, trout lily, trillium will be blooming here on Saturday, May 14th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So after a nice long walk, well, not long, it's about a mile or so, through mostly flat terrain, we're going to be going back into the winery and enjoy wine tastings and food pairings provided by Hunt Country. And then to wrap it all up, we're going to have Dana Ford from Braddock Bay Raptor Research over in Rochester come out with live birds of prey that are her education birds, hawks, owls, and falcons for our guests to experience. We'll have a chance to take photographs with them and learn about these birds of prey, what makes them amazing hunters in this ecosystem. So that's coming up in a few weeks. There's still ample opportunity to register, but tickets are going very, very fast. We're almost sold out. We do encourage people to get there to the website today to register for this unique opportunity, brand new partnership with Hunt Country.
That's terrific. That is May 14th. That is from 1 to 4 p.m. Montezuma.audubon.org for these events and more, and volunteer opportunities. Chris, we appreciate the update as always. Thanks, and talk to you next month.
Thank you, Ted.
This has been Inside the FLX from FingerLakes1.com. Paul Russo is our producer today. Thanks for watching.